Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking some time to join us this morning. If we have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Bethany Williams. I am the VP of Benefactors for the Ohio Kentucky chapter. I live and work in the Cleveland Akron area and look forward to, if we haven't met yet, hopefully meeting you in person someday, maybe this Friday, perhaps down in Cincinnati. I just want to take a quick minute before we jump into what we're looking at for the 2025 package and take a moment to thank all of our 2024 benefactors. This is quite an extensive list and an amazing support that we receive from all of our local manufacturers and A&D firms. So we greatly appreciate the support that you give us. It certainly allows us to provide an extensive amount of programming and opportunities for our local design community to be engaged, to network, to become IITA members, to learn, and just lots of exciting programs that we've had throughout the year. So I know there's lots of you on the call today and just wanted to take a moment to say thank you. We truly, truly appreciate the support that you've given us. So without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Megan, who is our chapter president.
Hi, everyone. Megan Mershman. For those of you who maybe haven't met me before, I am based out of Cincinnati. And I just wanted to take a minute also to reiterate what Bethany said, and that we're so appreciative of help and support. And we're really excited if you're coming to join us for the first time to hear about what we're up to. Our chapter is actually one of I think they were like the 6th largest chapter in all of IIDA. And of those large chapters that we're kind of peers with, we're actually one of the only ones without a major, what would be considered a major market. And so we get to do a lot across our region. And it really takes a village. It takes all of us and all of you to pull off such incredible programming across 2 states, across 5, actually really 8 cities, if you consider some of our city centers that are paired up. And so we just couldn't be more appreciative of your interest and your support. We're looking for it. We've had a really fantastic 2024. Bethany alluded, we will be having our first ever student conference this coming Thursday and our second ever chapter-wide design awards this Friday in Cincinnati. And they're just awesome opportunities. We're going to have over 90 students, over 250 professionals, all gathering in one place to celebrate design and educate our students and bring them into the fold of the profession. And 2025, I think, looks to be just as exciting. We're going to be looking at some legislative opportunities, how to continue to build on that student conference opportunity. In odd years, we bring our design awards back local so that people don't have to travel. So we'll be doing our more city-centric design awards as well. So lots of opportunities to get involved in your local markets too. So I think we've really set a strong pace and a great trajectory coming out of COVID. And we're very ambitious group of individuals. And we just keep trying to bring better and better, stronger programming and more value to our members, especially in a time when people, I think, are kind of reevaluating how they want to spend their time. We want to make sure that what we provide for people are as valuable as it can be. So you guys are a really critical part of that. And then before I turn this back over to Bethany, I do want to give a little plug. For those of you who know Bethany, she's been an active chapter level volunteer for almost a decade. And we couldn't do this without Bethany. I think a huge part of our success is a very strong person in the role of VP of Benefactors. And so Bethany will be hanging up her hat after her term is over in July. And so I think, something we wanted to put out to you all too is if you know of somebody you think would be great to fill her shoes, I think the relationship between our VP of Benefactors and our benefactors is a really critical one, that you guys feel supported, you understand what's going on, there's a high level of transparency and information that gets shared back and forth. And so getting the right volunteer in the benefactor role to be your guys' liaison and your touch point with us as the chapter is really important. So if you guys know of anybody and want to share, let us know. Bethany's definitely looking to find her replacement and train them up. But I'll kind of wrap up by just saying a huge thank you to Bethany for all her time and all her effort. And I think you'll all get to see a little bit of her work as she goes through the rest of the package.
Thank you. Certainly a labor of love, but connecting everyone and providing some of these amazing opportunities for our local market has always been a pleasure of mine. So happy to bring in the next generation of the VP of Benefactors. So send them our way. We're all about it. On that note as well, just a quick introduction of who our chapter board is. This, and what I'm flipping through right now, is the digital PDF version of our benefactor package. This is on the website, which Erin, our VP of Communications, she's kind of helping MC with me today. She's keeping an eye on the chat and whatnot. She'll put that link into the chat, and you can also check it out on our website. But just to give you an idea of like who our chapter board is, we have quite a nice spread of volunteers. Again, we are volunteers, so we do have day jobs, but you can see, we work across our chapter all over Ohio and Kentucky and come together and plan some of these programs. A little bit about us, if you're not familiar with who IIDA Ohio Kentucky is, I think there's kind of this hierarchy that sometimes gets a little confusing to people. So we have sort of a national level of IIDA, and that's based out of Chicago, Illinois. If you've heard of the infamous Cheryl Durst, she's our CEO and executive vice president. So that's kind of that level of IIDA. What we're looking at today is more of our local chapter that consists of all of Ohio and Kentucky. And then probably what a lot of people are most familiar with is your local city center. So we have 5 city centers. Starting at the top, we have Toledo, Cleveland, Akron, Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton, and Louisville, Lexington. So of our chapter and our local city centers, these groups of individuals plan lots of programs throughout the year. Some you see are kind of like chapter wide, like what we're looking at for this Thursday and Friday with our student conference and design awards. And then a lot of times you're interfacing with some of your local programming that's happening within your city. So with that, we've got lots of members, over 650. We are one of the larger size chapters within IIDA as a whole. We also have lots of committee members. There's over 80 of us, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, but we do have sort of our chapter board level and then our local city center volunteers. But we're a proud group of individuals. You can see there's a lot of things that we get done over here. There's a lot of posting on social media. We've applied for several grants over the past years and have received them. That's our Enrich grant. And probably one of our biggest accomplishments is winning chapter awards. We've actually won 6 in a row, which is kind of crazy. And I hold my breath a little bit every time we apply for a new one. But I think that just really speaks to the outstanding programming that's coming out of our volunteers and our chapter, and with the support of all of you. Sometimes you're coming to the table and saying to us, "Hey, I've got a great idea for an event. Let's check this out." And those programs turn into award-winning programs that are recognized nationally. So pretty cool, fun stuff. I know we're very proud of all this, but hopefully you see the impact of that as well in your local cities. So just some transparency on like where your benefactor dollars go. 50% of them are going directly to signature events. And I think that's the biggest benefit of becoming a benefactor with our chapter, is that you're not just handing over a lump sum of money and then kind of never seeing where it's going. And this is a little bit more on the manufacturer side. For anyone joining us from the A&D side, this is a little bit different for you, and we'll get to that in a minute. But manufacturers, you get the opportunity to take 50% of the amount of money that you are providing to our chapter, and you get to pick what events you want it to go to, and whether it's happening in Cleveland or Louisville or Columbus, or whether you're supporting one of our chapter wide program that touches everyone in Ohio, Kentucky, you get the choice of where you want that money to go. You also, by becoming a benefactor, get first right of becoming sponsors of some of these events. So all of that is settled at the beginning of the year. And then you can kind of be set to go for the rest of the year, which is exciting. We do like to celebrate design excellence and recognize our local firms and the projects and amazing work that they're producing. If you've seen some of the social media over this past like week or two and some of the snips of all of the projects that were submitted to the Chapter Design Awards, it is incredible the amount of work and outstanding high caliber level of work that's coming out of our chapter. So that's something that we at IIJ like to make sure we're investing our money back into, is the local firms and the work that we're doing and making sure that it's celebrated. We're also really ramping up some of our student programming this year, as we kind of noted. We're hosting our first student conference, but we have like 10 to 12 programs within Ohio and Kentucky that have interior design programs, and we want to keep those students local after they graduate. We don't want to ship them off to other states. So really focusing on what those student programs look like and keeping them engaged with us locally. And then we have a little bit of digital communications and chapter management. Our group gets together a couple times a year to plan and meet. So you're seeing some of those photos in these packages. But that helps support some of those efforts. Our advocacy and outreach initiatives, this is a little bit sort of, I will say, more of a snip of the past. This year, I think our advocacy percentage is going to increase a little bit. We're pretty excited to start ramping up those efforts again. If you've been around with IIDA for a while, you know we've kind of had our cycles, but the time is now. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you can support those efforts as well. And then a little bit of chapter leadership development. We becoming a volunteer with IIDA, especially at the chapter level, you get the opportunity to meet with other chapter leaders across the country, sometimes regionally, sometimes nationally. So there is a little bit of funding that supports those efforts too. Okay, so becoming a benefactor with the chapter is pretty simple, a couple of easy steps. So the first thing you'll want to do is think about what level you would like to contribute at. We have 4 different levels starting at 3,000 going all the way up to 10,000. And then you can see right next to this, and we'll actually kind of go over the benefits here in a second and break that down a little bit more, but you can see out of that amount that you are contributing, how much of that you get to put specifically to events of your choosing and become sponsors of those events. So if we're looking at the bronze level and you become a bronze benefactor at $3,000, you're going to take exactly half of that and put that 1,500 to the events of your choosing. And we'll break down throughout this package. It shows you what city centers are offering what and what the levels are. So you'll see, like, you can kind of make that stretch quite a bit. You can put all 1,500 into one event, or you have the opportunity to really spread it up to like 5 or 6 events, depending on how much you want to put into the different programs. So well, that's kind of step one, figuring out what your contribution level is and what makes sense to you. After that, you'll go to our website, which I'll flip over to once we're done running through the package. You'll select that payment method. We do offer payment plan if you would like, so you can pay upfront with a credit card. You can select to pay with a check and mail that check to us. Or you can select our payment plan option, which is paying 50% today and then 50%, I believe, like in June, to kind of split it up. We do ask for contact information for you. So the reason we kind of put this in here is so that way when you go to register, you're not like, oh, wait, I was not ready for that. I didn't know I needed to provide all these emails. So for those of you that have reps in all 5 of our cities, we want to get their contact info as well. So that way, when the local cities are planning their programs, they can contact their local rep as opposed to contacting maybe someone at the RVP level or whoever you've kind of tapped in to register for this benefactor sponsorship. We don't want you to have to field all of those questions all the time. So just kind of be prepared. We're going to ask you for each of your local reps. If you don't have one in that city, just put NA, not a big deal, but we would like to collect their info. And then after that, you'll kind of sit for a minute. Come mid-January, I will start contacting all of the benefactors, starting from the top level down. So the more you give, the first opportunity you have to select the events that you would like to sponsor. And we'll go through each of those levels, and you'll get to select your allocations and where you want that money to go to for each of your programs. So we'll do that kind of like mid-January through mid-February until we kind of work our way through everyone. But again, you kind of, once you register, you just get to sit tight for a minute, start thinking with your team, maybe what programs you're interested in. If there's certain amounts you want to put in different cities, you can start to strategize. And then when I contact you, we'll go ahead and figure out what those allocations are and what makes the most sense. And then after that, you just get to enjoy your partnership with us. It's easy peasy from there out. Okay, so here is a little bit more breakdown of the different levels this year. So we do have the 4, and the 5th one is our in-kind retreat sponsor. So again, starting at 3,000 for the bronze, 5,000 for silver, 7,500 for gold, and 10,000 for platinum. Out of each of those in this green top, this top rectangle is, I think, what is the biggest benefit of all is that you get to take up to 50% of your sponsorship and allocate it directly to events. So what that means for you too is kind of thinking when you're sponsoring those events, sometimes that includes free tickets to those events. Sometimes that includes product display opportunities, different spotlights that could happen, website, social media features, beyond what you're getting in this package. And obviously that's going to be very event dependent. And we don't know a lot of that information today, like how many tickets you would get. But as each of the cities starts planning their programs, they'll reach out and say, hey, thank you so much for sponsoring this event. Here is the benefits that are included with that level of sponsorship, and they'll give you those details, such as how many tickets you get and what kind of benefits you're getting. But it's kind of like a double level of benefits besides what's just listed right here in this chart. So then beyond that, there is some recognition and sort of marketing highlights for your company, whether it's the name or the logo on our chapter website with a link to your website, displayed on the event banners that are put out at all of our events. Typically, you'll see them kind of close to like the check-in registration tables. A name or logo on all of our digital marketing materials, and including our e-newsletters. So we send out actually quite a bit of newsletters. Our chapter sends out e-newsletters. We send out e-blasts for registering for events, and that Benefactor banner is included on that. Each of the city centers, they have their own newsletters and invites to programs that they send out. So I should have tallied how many emails that maybe come out of our chapter, but this gets circulated a lot. So lots of visibility for you out there. All levels are included in those perks, which is a nice benefit. As you can see, the higher you sponsor, you may get a logo included versus just a written name. As Megan mentioned, this upcoming year in 2025, we're going to go back to the local city centers and host our design awards in each of the cities. So by becoming a benefactor, you'll receive one submission at 50% off, discounted. It is important to know we like to recognize and celebrate all types of IIDA members. So while it is important for our firms to be recognized for their projects, we also really want to recognize the manufacturers reps and the high level of importance and it is on our relationships with you and the value that you bring to a project, and submit some of your work as well. So if it's, keep in mind, think about it, like as you're wrapping up projects today, take some quick photographs. It's a pretty easy submission, but we want to recognize you as well. So both the firms and the manufacturers reps. We'll do a little bit of engagement and Instagram following with your account. The silver and up levels will have the opportunity to post their CEU courses on our website that we'll share with all of our members, all 650 of our members. For gold level and up, you'll receive discounted tickets to attend all events across the whole chapter. So it's kind of, if you have any non-IIDA members that are part of your team, they can have a discounted ticket at the IIDA member pricing. And then for our platinum and diamond levels, we'll do a local rep spotlight on our social media. So those are the perks for this year. I am going to go ahead and flip over to the A&D ones. There is a separate package for A&D firms just because it's a little different than what the manufacturer is. So what we're offering for our A&D firms this year is one level of sponsorship. It's $1,000. And what your benefits would be is your company name on the website with a link to your website. Again, displayed on those event banners that are posted up at each of our programs across the whole chapter, your name on our digital marketing materials and those e-newsletters that are sent out all the time. So even if you're a firm with, let's say, only an office in Columbus, it doesn't matter. Your firm's going to be promoted in Cleveland, in Toledo, in Cincinnati, and in Louisville. So you'll also receive 50% off one submission to your design awards. We'll do a little bit of engagement and following of your Instagram account if you have one. You get priority to post any sort of job openings on our chapter LinkedIn page, which gets quite a bit of traction nowadays. So if you have any positions open within your firm that you would like to promote, we would be happy to share that for you. And then the last one is a $100 discount for a Q practice session membership. So if you have any team members that are looking to take the NCIDQ and looking for some tools to help them study, this is the online platform that we utilize. We actually have a team that we set up through IIDA. The cost of that team is already discounted if you were to go out on your own and register for Q Practice. I forget what the discount is, but it's already discounted with our team. And then as a benefactor, we're going to tack on an additional $100 off of that for one team member. The caveat to this is kind of funky because of NCIDQ testing, with it being either in April or October. The Q Practice session runs like those 4 months prior to, so January through April or July through October. Sometimes a lot of you are registering after January, and that becomes too late to kind of take advantage of that discount. So you could take advantage of it either for the 2025 Q Practice offerings or the spring offering of 2026, just to give you a little bit of time to register as a benefactor and then take advantage of your perk. Okay, so something new this year for us is we wanted to kind of add these upgrade sponsorships to tack on to your benefactor sponsorship as a way to very directly support some of the initiatives that we're working on this upcoming year. So the first one is the design advocate. For $100, you can sort of add this on to your sponsorship, and these efforts are going to go directly towards our advocating for interior design, and specifically our efforts towards legislation within Ohio and supporting the legislation that we currently have in Kentucky. So this pledge is going to be denoted on all of those sort of banner assets, if you will. And then we'll also list your name and logo on our advocacy website as showing that you're supporting our advocacy efforts within our chapter. The other add-on that we have for $60 is a student advocate. And if you're asking kind of why $60, that's the price of a student membership. So we're having some students reach out to us and saying that it's just too much for them to become members. They don't have the $60 to do that. So we want to try and support them as much as possible. So for $60, if you would like to add on a student advocate, you could kind of almost like buy a student membership for a student. And we'll have like an essay contest of some sort where the students will submit to be considered for one of those memberships. It's not just going to be a free for all. And so to that extent, if you become a student advocate, you'll have your name / logo sort of designated somehow on our banners, showing that you're a student advocate, as well as your name and logo listed on the student portion of our website. So super exciting to add those two new sponsorships. If all is said and done and you decide today that becoming a benefactor is not something that you're interested in, you could still become one of these advocate sponsors as well. You won't be listed on our benefactor banners, but we'll still get you included on the website and whatnot. So if you want to do just the 100 or the 60 or both, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Okay. The meat and potatoes, I think everyone gets really excited about, is kind of seeing what we're planning for 2025. This is sort of an outline of a calendar for next year. Obviously, things can move and change and whatnot, but this gives you an idea of what we're planning for the next year. So you can see quite a bit of programming for every month. The city keys are kind of listed below, so anything that's listed in black is considered a chapter-wide program where all cities will be taking advantage of it. But then you can see each of the different city centers listed in different colors. I've also got listed here with a little $sign the events that have sponsorship opportunities. So if you want to try and strategize when you think you would like to sponsor something, take a look at those, and you'll actually see them later in the package as well. So lots of exciting things planned for next year. I'm not going to go through every single one of these because we'll talk about the ones specifically that have sponsorship. But again, this is like part of the digital benefactor package. So you can read this at your leisure in the future.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Interrupt. We had a question from Tracy. I believe it was while you're going over the A and D benefactor benefits, and she asked if that what kind of engagement participation was happening only on Instagram and not Facebook or LinkedIn?
It is just Instagram at the moment, but we can certainly look at adding some other social media platforms in the future if that's. I know some firms maybe don't have one or the other, so yeah, absolutely, we could take a look at that. Great questions. Okay, so after you sign up and become a benefactor, here is the list of events that you have to choose from to figure out where you want to allocate your money. So just a reminder, here are the allocation levels up here in the top right-hand corner. So if you sign up as a bronze level, you'll have 1,500 to kind of spend. I like to call this like your monopoly money. It's kind of like fake money at this point where you can just spend where it goes, but just to keep in mind, this is what you have to put out there. Silver gets a 3,000. Gold gets 4,500, platinum gets 6,500, and then any of our in-kind sponsors for our retreats will get 1,250. So what we're looking at for this upcoming year at the chapter-wide programs is our Mentorship Connection. That was a new program that we launched this year where professionals were linked across the chapter virtually for mentorship opportunities. There was a whole survey that was sent out, and individuals sort of spelled out what they were looking for, whether they wanted to receive a mentor or be a mentee. It was kind of like pick or choose, and they've been connecting virtually over the past year. So we're going to have that program again this year with one headlining sponsor. We're also going to continue our Thrive program, which I think many of you have seen or maybe been a part of, where our leaders within our local firms gather in each city for a sort of roundtable discussion on a topic that's pertinent to our industry. So there's a couple of different sponsorship levels with that, and we can. I have a little bit of information on the perks on that. So if anyone's interested, feel free to reach out to me afterwards. We can talk about that. Cincinnati Dayton, you can see there's 5 different opportunities for you to be a part of with their programming. So their gutter ball that they've hosted several years will be back again this year. They're looking to bring to CEU / kind of advocacy roundtable program. Their golf outing that they launched this past year sounded like a really great time, and it's coming back again for year 2. That will be in the summertime. There's a little bit of focus on some of our smaller sister cities. So there is a program specifically for Dayton that they are going to host some sort of like networking, fun, social type of gathering. And then the last would be their version of their design excellence celebration, which is the gallery, where they'll recognize projects that have been submitted to past design awards and kind of have a gallery sort of affair to celebrate those firms and their accomplishments. So that's Cincinnati Dayton. Again, you can kind of reference that calendar to see where those events are falling if there's a certain time of year you're interested in. Cleveland Akron, they're looking to host 2 building tours this upcoming year, one sometime in the spring and one in the fall. They've been kind of doing these for the past year or 2. There was actually just one recently at Stan Hewitt. They've done one at Marouse. So again, just kind of recognizing local firms and their accomplishments and doing a tour of those buildings. They will also host their local city center design awards, which they call iDesign. And then also a student trunk or treat where they'll go to some of the college campuses, do kind of like a mini trade show for the students and interact with the students there. For Columbus, they are hosting, again, their Student Career Day in the springtime, which has always been I think in spring, always very successful opportunity for a little bit of networking and displays and product knowledge for the students that attend and firm interaction. They are looking to host 2 building tours as well, one in the spring and one in the summertime, very similar to what Cleveland Akron just displayed. And then their version of their local city center design awards, which is called CETA, which will happen in the fall. Louisville Lexington will be hosting their student day again this upcoming year, very similar to the Columbus one, with a little bit of a trade show and networking and interaction for the students with speakers and whatnot. They're also hosting their CEU day, where it's just a day filled with CEUs, as you can guess by the title, but also a product trade show that's tied to that. They have just kind of soft launched some Sip and Connects this past year, which have seemed to get a lot of traction. So just a nice opportunity to come have a cup of whatever you want to drink in the morning, coffee, tea, water, etc. Maybe a Diet Coke. I've heard some people like those in the morning. But just gather with your local designers and manufacturers reps and network for a little bit before starting your day. They're also going to do an event specifically in Lexington, so some sort of networking, social gathering for that community. And then in the fall, hosting their design awards as well, which is called the Kentucky Design Awards. And then last but certainly not least is Toledo. They will be hosting their 5 by Design program, which they have had in the past, and bringing that back as a virtual version of that, highlighting designers and architects in the Toledo market and what their journey has been. They will also be hosting their Spring into Action program, which is a little bit more focused on giving back to the community and some sort of Toledo nonprofit. Their infamous boat cruise will be back for another round sometime in the late summer, early fall. And then finally is the holiday party at the end of the year. They will be making live wreaths, which is really cool. So there's an opportunity to sponsor that program as well. So that's what I got for you in the package. I'm going to hop over quickly to the website just to kind of show you something there really quick. If anyone has any questions along the way, feel free to shout them out, put them in the chat, etc. So when you go to register for your sponsorship, you'll head over to our website, iidaohky.org. At the top, there's a couple of different options to select from. We'll go to sponsors and then become a benefactor. There will be a pop-up that will pop up in a second here once I give it long enough time. No, maybe not. Maybe it's not going to pop up for me. Typically, there's a pop-up that will pop up to remind you about the 2 add-on options, the advocacy and the student advocate, the $100 and $60 options for you. We haven't spelled out separately. This is for manufacturers reps, benefactors here. The middle one is for A&D firms. If you need to pull up those packages again, they're in these black boxes up here. This is the full package for manufacturers. This is the package for A&D reps. So you'll go to buy your tickets. And then when you scroll down, you'll just select your option. First, your level. If you're paying in full, those are the top levels here. Full with credit card. If you want to pay by check, that's kind of your next group of options here. And then if you want to do the payment plan, that will be your next group of options. And then all the way down at the bottom are the add-ons. So the design advocate and the student advocate. So if you would like to add those on to your purchases, you'll kind of select one. So if I'm selecting the silver benefactor here and an advocate, you'll kind of tally them up on this screen, just so you are aware. They're kind of hidden down at the bottom, but please feel free to add them on. So that is all I have for you guys today. The package is open. It's live. It will be open through the end of January. If there's any sort of questions or specific details you want to know, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact info, we can add that into the chat too, but feel free to email me, call me, text me. We'll get connected somehow, one way or another. I'm happy to hop on like another Zoom call if you want to run through anything, but greatly appreciate everyone considering supporting our chapter this next year, whatever makes sense for you, whether it's as a full benefactor, doing one of the add-ons, or sponsoring events individually, but we greatly, greatly appreciate everyone's support. And then one final plug before I turn it over to any sort of open questions. If you have not purchased a ticket yet for Design Awards, you certainly still can. And actually, we encourage it. Don't wait until the day of. But Erin's going to add that link into the chat too. Please, we encourage you to join us in Cincinnati on Friday and celebrate design excellence across our whole chapter. So what questions can I answer?
We do have one in the chat, Bethany. So it's, are benefactors invited to chapter meetings? Are board member positions strictly for members, or can a benefactor hold a board member position?
Great question. To participate in board meetings or sit on a board, you do have to be an IIDA member, but it's not restricted to any benefactor, non-benefactor, et cetera. So if you've got a member as part of your team and they're an IIDA member, they are more than welcome to apply for one of our open positions. We take all sort of levels of membership too. So whether you're an associate IIDA member, a professional IIDA member, an industry IIDA member, we'll take all help where we can get it. So if you got something that you're interested in or passionate about, definitely let us know because we'll be happy to talk to you about that opportunity.
As to say, and I know sometimes there is a little bit, you do not have to be an IIDA member to be a benefactor, but being a benefactor does not by default therefore make you an IIDA member. The benefactor program is facilitated at the chapter level and memberships are facilitated at the national level. Many of you on the call, I believe, work for manufacturers and are sales reps. And so your companies, for the most part, can facilitate your membership through corporate memberships, which are like roster-based kind of memberships versus if you are a practicing designer, you can maintain an associate or a professional membership, depending on whether you've passed the NCIDQ. In terms of roles on the board or at the city center, to Bethany's point, membership is the only critical component. As much as we love volunteers, there is a liability component to having you participate as a volunteer for us. And so you do have to be a member to pitch in when it comes to volunteerism. But the only role that there's any sort of restrictions on industry membership participating in is the president-elect, president, and past president. It is technically, by our bylaws, supposed to be a professional IIDA member, so someone who's passed the NCIDQ. But other than that, any role at chapter or in your city center is available to any member type.
We also welcome, like, if you maybe just want to help out with one event in your local city center and don't necessarily want to commit to like joining the board and attending regular meetings, that's also a great opportunity and kind of a nice way to dip your toe in the water and see what happens with planning some of these programs. So if you see something on the calendar that excites you and maybe you want to help out with, let us know. We would gladly take you as like a one-off volunteer as well. Many hands make light work. I think that's been my motto for the past 2 weeks with these events we've got this week, but yeah, let us know.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If as a benefactor, maybe not want to commit to like a city center position or a board member, where is the opportunity to get on like committee lists for different local stuff? I remember a list in the past of being interested in joining just a help support committee.
I think we have, I was thinking there was something on our website to connect with us, but maybe I am missing that nowadays. The website got a little bit rearranged and I'm not as familiar as I used to be. But that is a great question. If it's not there or linked maybe in our e-blast, we should absolutely add that so people can quickly connect with us. If all else fails, you can also go to the website and see who some of the leaders are in the areas. We have contact info on there and you can reach out to any of us and we'll connect the dots as well. Any other questions? Great. Well, thank you all for hanging on. Happy Monday. At least the sun is shining here. I hope it's shining where you are. It seems like it. I see the people that have cameras on, it looks bright where you are. So if you have any questions, any follow-up, when you go to register, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to answer anything to the best of my ability. And if I don't know it, we'll figure it out for you. So let me know. My contact info is out there. It's in the package as well. So let me know. We appreciate everyone taking your time this morning.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Thanks. Nice work.
Thank you.
Chelsea.